Good morning, friends. Happy New Year. Happy 2021. We're here at Empty Cloud Monastery with the entire monastic Sangha that is currently residing here. So I am Ayya Soma. To my right is Bhante Suddhaso, and further to my right, Sante. And to my left, Bhante Sumano, and further to my left, we have Ayya Soma, who recently ordained here at Empty Cloud. And she's originally from Burma, hence she has a few extra layers to brave the cold of New Jersey's winter. All right, so we were thinking about starting with some blessing chants. We all need blessings for this new year. We all need blessings in general, but definitely it's been a rough year for everyone in 2020. So hopefully 2021 will have a sort of happier kind of underlying. So I'll pass it on to Bhante Suddhaso so he can lead us in the chanting this morning.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Sangham saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sangham saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammaṃ saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sangham saranang gacchami. Yan kinci vitang etavahuram vasage suvayam ratanam panitam nano samamati tathagatena idampi buddhe ratanam panitam etena sacena suvati hotu kayam niragam namadam panitam yada jagasa yamuni samahito natena dhammena samati kinchidampi dhamme ratanam panitam etena sacena subhati hotu yam buddha seto parivannayi sucing samadhi manantari kanyamahu samadhina tena samona vijjati dampi dhamme ratanam panitam etena sacena subhati hotu ye mungala tasatam pasata chatari edhani yugani honti te dakineya sugata sasavakai te sudinnani mahapalani rampi sanghe ratanam ณิตังเทนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุเยสุปยุตตามนัสสะดัลเหนะเนกามิโนโกตมัสสัสสนัมหิเอปฏิปัตตามะทังวิกายหลันตามุตานิปุติมปุญจมานัยดัมปิสังเฆรัตนังปณิตังเอเทนะสัจเจนะสุภัตติโหตุขีนังปุรานังนาวังนาติสัมภวังเบรัตจิตายะเทเกปะวัสมิงเทคีนาบิจาเวโรหิชันดาเนบันติดีรายตายังปฏิโปยรัมปิสังเฆรัตนังปณิตังเอเทนะสัจเจนะสุภัตติโหตุอาเสวนาชะบาลานังปันดิตานันจะเสวนาบูชาจะบูชนียานังเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังปฏิรูปเดสวาโสจะภูเบจะกตบุญญาตานะสัมมาปณิทิชัยธัมมังกลมุตตมังบาหุสัจฉันจะสิปัญจเวนโยจะสุสิกิโตสุภาสิทาชยาวัจเนธัมมังกลมุตตมังมาตาปิตุปัฏฐานังพุทธดาราสสังฆโหอนาคุลาชกัมมันตาเอธัมมังกลมุตตมังดานันชะธรรมจริยาจัญญาตกานันชะสังฆโหอนาวัจจานิคัมมานิเอธัมมังกลมุตตมังอารติวิรติปะปัมมะจปานาชะสัญญโมวะปะมาโดชะธัมเมสุเอธัมมังกลมุตตมังการะโภชนิบาโตชะสันตุติชะกตัญญูทาคาเลนะธัมมัสสวนังเอธัมมังกลมุตตมังขันติชะโสปัจจัสสะทาสัมมนานันชะดาสนังคาเลนะธัมมัสสะกัจจาเอธัมมังกลมุตตมังทัพโพชะพรหมจริยัญชะอริยสัจจานาดาสนังนิพพานาสัจฉิกิริยาชะเอธัมมังกลมุตตมังพุทธัสสะโลกธัมเมหิจิตังยาสนะคัมปติยโสกัมมิรจังเขมังเอธัมมังกลมุตตมังเอธาเดสานิกัตวานะสาบาธรรมปราจิตาสาบาตโสติงกัจฉันติตันเตสัมมังกลมุตตมันติการณียมาตคุสเลนะยันตังสันตังปรังอภิสเมจาสาโกจุชาสุจุชาสุปโจชาสมุดุอนัตติมานิสันตุสะโกชาสุปโรชาปะกิโจชาสัลลาหุกบุติสันอินริโยชาเนปะโกชาปะกาโบคุเลสุวานุกิโตนะจักขุดดังสมาจาเรทินจิเยนะวิญโยบาเรโยปะวะเดยงสุขิโนวาเคมิโนหันตุสัพเพสัตตาภวันตุสุขิตาตาเยเคชิปานะพุทธาทิทาสาวาทาบาราวานะวะเสสาดิกาวาเยมหันตาวามัจฉิมาราสกาลุกทุลาดิตาวาเยวะดิตาเยจดุเรวสันติอวิดุเรภูตาวาสัมภเวสีวาสเบสัตตาภวัน Bhavantu Sukhitata Paro Param Nikubeta Nati Manyeta Katachinam Kanchi Vyaro Sanapatiga Sanyana Nyamanya Sadukamecheya Matayatani Bhutang Ayusai Kaputamanurake Evam Pisa Babhute Sumana Sambhavaye Aparimanam Etancha Sabalokasming Mana Sambhavaye Aparimanam Nuddham Adosha Tiriyancha Sampadam Averam Sapatam Tetancharam Yesino Vasayano Vayavata Savigatamido Vetam Sating Adite Yaramamitam Viharam Nidamahure Jinjanupagama Silavadasanena Sampanno Kame Suvineya Gedam Nahitatu Sabaseyam Murareti Sababudhanubhavena Sabadhammanubhavena Sabasamganubhavena Buddharatanam Dhammaratanam Sankaratanam Jinnam Ratananam Anubhavena Chaturasi Tisaha Dhamma Kandhanubhavena Pitakatayanubhavena Jinasabakanubhavena Sabede Roga Sabede Vaya Sabede Antaraya Sabede Ubadava Sabede Dunnimita Sabede Avamangalamina Santu Ayuvadako Dhanavadako Sirivadako Yasavadako Balavadako Annavadako Sukhavadako Hotu Sabadadu Karoga Bhayavera Soka Satu Chupadavani Kantaraya Vivina Santu Chate Jasa Jaya Siddhidanam Labham Soti Bhagyam Sukham Balam Siriya Yuchavanno Chabhogam Buddhi Jaya Sabha Satavasa Chayu Chajiva Siddhi Bhavantu Te.
All right, we can invite Bhante Suddhaso to share some words of Dhamma for the new year.
So, we've come to the end of the year 2020, and we're beginning 2021. There's an old saying, hindsight is 2020. And I've been reflecting that this saying is going to take on a completely different meaning than it used to. So hindsight is 2020. Well, fortunately, 2020 is now behind us. So it's always going to be in our hindsight. It's always going to be something that we look back at, maybe shake our heads and reflect on how happy we are it's over. But one thing that I think is really important is to always look at the good things that come, to always look at the blessings or the bright sides. What positive things have happened? What beneficial things have come up in our lives? How have things changed for the better? Have there been any things which have occurred in the last year which were praiseworthy? Have we done anything which was wholesome, uplifting? Anything which was karmically potent, which was valuable. Have we made progress on the path towards awakening? So reflecting on whatever goodness we've done in this past year, and resolving that in this coming year, we're going to build upon that. We're going to keep expanding and nourishing our goodness, to keep developing a strong foundation of wholesomeness to carry us through whatever happens in this next year. Because there's no guarantee that 2021 will be better than 2020. We're just hoping. But realistically, what will make 2021 a good year is if we make our own heart a good heart. If we make our own mind a good mind. If we fill ourselves with all the wholesome virtues that the Buddha spoke of. If we commit ourselves to practicing kindness, consideration, thoughtfulness, compassion. If we commit ourselves to cultivating morality, samadhi, and wisdom, then 2021 will be a good year, no matter what happens. No matter what happens in the world of health and politics and economics and all the other things which seem so far out of our control. No matter what happens there, as long as our own mind is a wholesome mind and our own heart is a wholesome heart, then this will be a good year. So let's all help each other make 2021 a good year by focusing on what really matters, which is the development of our spiritual practice, the development of our foundation of goodness within ourselves. Thank you. So now we can invite Ayya Soma to say some words about the new year.
Right, thank you, Bhante. Not sure what else to add to what Bhante said, to all of these reflections. But what comes to mind is that 2020 has been such a difficult year in so many different respects. But it has also given us many insights in the First Noble Truth of suffering. We've all experienced suffering to one degree or another. And we've all seen suffering inevitably around us in our communities, in our families, throughout the world, globally. And it's no big news, it's something that has been part of the human experience for beginningless time. But I feel like when there is a global pandemic, there is very few ways that we can find to distract ourselves, to pretend that this suffering is not really there, or that doesn't exist to the extent that it actually permeates pretty much every aspect of reality. And so with this sort of consideration and contemplation, there's also so much gratitude that arises in my mind to be blessed with the Buddhist teachings, to be blessed to have the Dhamma in my life, so way out of suffering. And for all of us who are Dharma practitioners, this should always be, it's this recollection should always be in our mind that we actually do have the teachings of the Buddha. We do have a way out of suffering, no matter how atrocious the circumstances are. And we can reflect and see how whenever we're practicing in the way that the Buddha suggests and points the way, the more this suffering is relieved. And the more we follow our habitual instincts, the more suffering increases in ourselves and others and in the world at large. So, there's both bad news and great news at the same time. The bad news is that, once again, there is this incredible suffering, but the incredible news is that there is a way out of suffering. And this is such a joyful, incredible gift that the Buddha has given us. So My New Year resolution is no different than last year's resolution or yesterday's resolution or the resolution from 2 days before. And it's just to commit to this practice of liberation for the happiness of myself and other sentient beings. There's no difference there, and there will never be. So may all beings be happy, peaceful, and safe. And maybe we can invite Sante to say some words.
Well, I think this morning it might be fitting to add a word of thanks for all of the goodness that also came in 2020. It was a very challenging year, extraordinary in my life, and I'm not that young. I'm getting old. I've never seen a year like 2020 with the pandemic and so much extra death and change in the world. But at the same time, I think it's worth cultivating some gratitude for all of the goodness that was done in the world this past year. There was extraordinary heroism, but even beyond that, I'm just reflecting on how, in the course of daily life, most people are performing acts of goodness that keep the world going. Kindnesses for one another, feeding each other, seeing to each other's security, doing our jobs. I think of my mother in her retirement community and how fortunate she was that her retirement community was quite spared from the worst ravages of the disease. Many senior citizen communities have been just completely devastated, and hers really wasn't. And I see, having visited there many times, that it's because all the people who work there are committed to each other and to supporting that community. They came to work despite their the danger, the actual physical danger to themselves. They did their jobs, and that was motivated, of course, by they need to keep their jobs, but more than that, it was by their basic human decency and goodness. And this morning, I'm just feeling that's worthy of respect and gratitude, because it's a story that's repeated in every family, in every community, in every society. It's what keeps us all going. So we have the Dhamma to cultivate such qualities of goodness and to build them and to lead us forward, not simply to keeping things going, but to lifting us up and towards liberation. So I wish you a lot of progress in the Dhamma this year, 2021.
Sadhu, thank you, Bhante, for sharing. And then we can invite Bhante Sumano to share a few words of Dhamma this morning. We have some ancient technology, which is why you see us doing. We're not just stretching on camera.
Thank you, Ayya Soma. It was interesting last night here. We could hear outside fireworks. Even though, well, we had an exciting night as far as monasteries go. We chanted for 30 minutes and then we went to bed. Yeah, at midnight. So as soon as midnight struck, we were like, okay, we need to go to sleep. This is way too late. But it was interesting. I was reflecting on how, in some ways, 2020 has not ended. Neither has 2019 or 2018 and any other year before that. It's actually just one long string of causes and results repeating over and over again. And I thought of this because oftentimes we approach a new year. We have aspirations, vows, resolutions, and we think that as soon as the clock strikes midnight, that we're a completely new person. We've transformed, and the world has transformed. So 2020 was rough, and everyone's looking forward to 2021. But 2021 is going to be just like 2020, if all we do is think that it's going to be any different. And I say that to mean that just as we've recognized the first noble truth, the truth of dukkha, suffering, dissatisfaction, we also need to recognize the second noble truth, which is the causes of dukkha and suffering. So there's a global pandemic. Well, 2021 will still have a global pandemic if we're prancing around with no masks, refusing any sort of advice from medical professionals, going to parties and clubs, and basically doing exactly what we did in 2020. But if we start to change our habits, change our mindsets, and say, well, this is what I want to accomplish in the new year, and these are the conditions that I need to put in place in order to achieve that goal. So Buddhist practice is, in some ways, it's not blind optimism. It's not, oh, actually 2021 will be great. Yeah, everything will work out. But rather, it's about seeing how we can reach the goals that we've set, how we can achieve what it is that we've set out to achieve. So it might be something small. Maybe we want to be kinder in the new year. We want to have less anger and irritation. That's not going to happen just by wishing for it to happen. But rather, we have to cultivate that practice intentionally. We have to recognize, well, what did I do last year that stoked my anger, that increased my irritation, increased my defilements? And what can I do to actually decrease them, dampen them, and increase the wholesome? And we can do that for anything, an aspiration in a job, things we want to see in society. So I would say that 2021 can be great. It can be wonderful, but we have to make it so. We can't wait around for conditions to fall into place, because realistically, they won't, or they won't fall into place the way that we would like. But if we can practice wholeheartedly with kindness, generosity, and wisdom, then we can create the conditions that will allow every good thing that we want to happen. So we chant these blessings, for example, with the aspiration that everyone be happy, safe, healthy. In one of the chants, we wish for all good things to come to the people hearing it. And on one hand, that goodness and prosperity will come from past karma to some extent, but a lot of it will also come from present karma. So what we're doing right now, what we're doing to plant seeds for future causes and conditions and results. So I would say I'm looking forward to 2021, but I also recognize that I can't just lay back and wish for 2021 to be wonderful. I have to be a part of that. And my encouragement would be for you to also wish to be part of that as well.
Sadhu, thank you, Bhante. And maybe we can conclude by inviting Ayya Soma to share any words she would like to share.
One moment.
Oh.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Ayasoma.
It's a great start for 2021.
May you be well and happy, because Ayya Soma asked me to say this.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right. So we cut out Sante from the screen, but he's still here in presence and spirit. Welcome to all our friends, Geeta, Kausar friends, Sarah, Jane, Enlightened Atheist Ansh. Is that your actually anagraphical name? Pretty cool. All right, great.
Oh, great.
Sadhu, our residents, our have now helped Sante reappear. And good morning to Robin, Mr. Simp, and John. Mr. Simp is appreciating 2020 hindsight. Bhante Suddhaso. He also, Mr. Simp also says, we made through 2020 alive. Hope to make through 2021 too.
Well, most of us made it through 2020 alive.
Yes, that's right. And Happy New Year to Denise, our friend Denise. Welcome, friends. So, what else to say? We also had, some lively earthquakes in the camera too this morning.
And end with saying Happy New Year.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
Oh, and monk chat tonight.
Yes, don't forget about monk chat for 2021, the first monk chat. So you can bring all your questions this evening at 7:30 p.m. New York City time, and we'll try our best to answer them. All right? So we can end this morning.
We'll say Happy New Year and 3 sadhus.
Okay.
So, Happy New
Happy
Year.
Happy New Year.
And 3 sadhus.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, have a great.